everyone. It is Sunday night and we are coming to you live from inside of Bat City Comic Professionals in Bradenton, Florida to help you wind down your weekend. As always, I'm your host Shannon, aka Small Press Shann, here to tell you about the latest and greatest in indie and small press new releases. But of course, before we can talk about comics, we gotta talk about how we're winding down our weekend. So this week, we are drinking Sierra de Enmedio, which is a Monastrell, and it's their Old Vines collection, and I'm really excited to see what it is. This says that this Monastrell grapes are from the oldest vineyard, bush vines, and drylands located in that area of Spain. So I'm really excited because, I mean, if they're from the oldest vines, they're probably pretty good. And so we're gonna give it a try and see what we learn. What do you smell, Matt?
Oak.
I definitely smell the oak.
Blackcurrant.
It's interesting though because it says that it's like from the like calcareous and like stony like side, and I'm like, I actually kind of think it smells like limestone.
Yeah, kind of. Wow.
It's very smooth.
Bright red fruit.
Mm-hmm. Very cherry, like red grape.
Yeah.
Kind of flavor.
Yeah, definitely cherry. Vanilla. Has like a vanilla candy almost to it.
Mm-hmm. It definitely has a candy kind of taste without being sweet. Like, it's not like a super sweet thing, but it has like the taste of like those like fake candy taste to its fruity flavor. Oh,
See how it opens up.
Yeah, I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of different flavors because that's not even like the flavors that you said it had earlier. So I'm curious to see what it actually opens into. But we'll be drinking this throughout the show. We'll let you know if it changes a little bit. Where can we get this wine? Is this
I believe it's a Total Wine.
A Total Wine?
It might be an ABC.
Okay.
We love a Monastrell, and it's been a while since we've had one on the show.
It has been a while since we've had a Monastrell at all. So it's nice to have one to kick it off. We had a lot of cool stuff go on at Bat City this week, and I'm gonna remember all of it right now. We had a zine night this past Wednesday, which was really awesome. Thank you to everybody who came out to help us create some good trouble with our zines. We're gonna keep adding to that one, honestly. I think there's a lot of really good things that we can add in and keep saying some more good stuff in that zine. So if you didn't have a chance to do it and you come in this next week, talk to Katie. Maybe she can get you a page that you can draw on while you're here, and just kind of share something that's really important to you that we could be making a difference on. And then we had Ladies and Non-Binary Nerd Night on Thursday, which was a ton of fun with karaoke and friendship bracelet making and all kinds of fun. So thank you to everybody who came out for that. Yesterday we had comic creation workshops, and we had a bunch of people, kids and teens, all come together to make a really great story about a T-Rex and some dangers he was going through. So it was awesome. All of those events, of course, are monthly events, so they will be happening again next month. So if you missed them this month, don't worry. They'll be on our March calendar, which will be coming up very soon, which is going to be an action-packed month here at Bat City and in the Bradenton area. Of course, like January, February, we've had like some trips that Matt and I have been on, which we will talk about again in just a second. But March, we're going to be here, and there's going to be so much going on. So make sure you have your March calendars ready to go in the next week and a half where we drop that calendar. The other thing, though, we are still having manga meetup this Wednesday. That is going to be at 6 p.m. Our awesome Bat Fam member Abisara is going to be leading that. So come, bring your favorite manga, be prepared to talk about what you love. It'll be happening here in the store, so come hang out. And if you've never read a manga, it's a really great time to get some suggestions. So come out and hang out with everybody. That said, this week, Matt and I will not be here. We are heading to the annual retailer conference, the Comics Pro Industry Conference, which is one of my favorite events of the year, and not just because I'm a part of the team that makes it happen, but because it is so much fun. It's a great opportunity for comic store owners to talk to creators and publishers about all the things that are coming up. So we'll have lots of good, exciting announcements for you, and you should keep your eye on comic media over the next week, because this is when some of the biggest announcements happen. Last year we had the announcement for Marvel versus DC with that Batman Deadpool. That was announced at the Comics Pro meeting, and I promise you there are going to be some extremely cool announcements coming out this week. So keep your eyes to sites like Comics Beat, like Bleeding Cool, and ICV2 and all of those comic news media sources. Keep your eyes peeled for them. That said, because Matt and I will be gone, there is no CGC drop-offs. There will be no comic buys. So hold on to those collections. Hold on to those books you want to get graded. And don't bring them in this week. Katie is not going to be buying books from you. She's not going to take your books for cleaning and pressing or for CGC. Don't even bring them and try to leave them with her. She's not taking them. But we will be back the week after that, and we will take all of your books then. But this week, don't bring them in. However, Katie will be here. The shop will be open normal hours, and you can pick up your weekly books. So come see Katie this week and support her and cheer her on as she runs the store. All right, I'm going to take another drink of this wine really fast before I kick off with some books. Little bit of change, not much change yet to the flavor. It still tastes very, very cherry on the front for me, but we'll see what happens as it opens up. All right, we're gonna kick it off with Transformers issue 29 from Image, Skybound, and Your Inner John universe. This is your world where Transformers and G.I. Joe have come together, and recently Robert Kirkman and Dan Mora have taken over on this book from the previous Daniel Warren Johnson, Jorge Corona spot, and we are definitely seeing how much Kirkman loves Transformers. He's been really building up off of what Daniel Warren Johnson had done previously. And so we've had the Transformers on our Earth, and we've seen this battle going on between Autobots and Decepticons, as we always do. And Megatron and Optimus Prime aren't really, like, they both still kind of see themselves as the leaders, and they're both still doing their thing, but there are definitely more people rising up within both of their ranks to kind of lead the day. And we're seeing that a lot in this issue because we've got a big battle between the Constructicons, the Decepticons, and the Autobots going on right now. And Optimus is kind of trying to continue to lead his team in the direction he thinks is the right way, but because he's been having some troubles as the leader, he's not really, the ultimate end-all be-all anymore. And Megatron is kind of struggling in the same way to keep that footing that he has over the Decepticons. And the more angry he gets, the more he seems to kind of lose it. We've got a big fight in this issue, and most of this issue covers that, but there is some key moments that happen at the end that are going to definitely shake up the Transformer universe coming into the next issue. We've got Geiger, issue 21 from Image Comics and Your Ghost Machine imprint. And this is part of our Unnamed universe and the Unnamed War, and we are really building towards that right now. If you don't know, Geiger's been going on for quite a while, and it is the story of a man who during a nuclear holocaust, trying to protect his family, ended up getting irradiated, and instead of dying, he actually gained these radiation powers, and now he's been kind of making his way through the apocalypse as a reluctant hero who ends up always kind of saving the day. In this issue, or in the last issue, I should say, the Northerner arrived, who is a man who says he's from a different period of time, a different time stream, where the South won the Civil War, and it kind of changed the history of everything in the entire world. And he has come to this history to kind of figure out how to stop this unnamed war that nobody really knows what happened, when it happened, why it happened. And so they've put him on this path with Geiger. In this issue, they are given a mysterious tank, and the Northerner explains to us that he doesn't know who gives him the stuff, and he doesn't really know what the stuff is for in case it should fall into the wrong hands, but they always give him little clues. And we see these clues are leading us towards some things that we as fans kind of understand, but the people in the book and living the experiences don't know about yet, which is great because you get those, oh my god, I know where this is going kind of moments, but they don't, which is really fun. This is definitely going to bring a big cross-universe fun experience for all of us who have been following along with the Jeff Johns area of the Ghost Machine world. We've got World Tree issue 18 from Image Comics and our Tiny Onion friends. This has been going on for quite a while, and this is the story of essentially what if there was that dark web, that dark side of the internet actually kind of took over the world. And this is a group of kids who find it when they're young. They find this dark side of the world, and they realize just how bad the dark web could be. So they build a blocker in place for it, and they create a way to keep it safe from people. Well, now all these years later, this darker underbelly has surfaced again, and people have started becoming killers and crazed from what they're seeing on the internet. And the world has faced apocalyptic level destructions as we see what's going to come for the future. And so these people are trying to stop that from happening. And the old gang has had to get back together, only to find out that they are not in the same place as what they were, and they're not dealing with the same things that they thought they were. We're following in this issue, more specifically, some of the investigators who are trying to piece all of it together, which is really how we get most of our exposition, is when they get exposition. And so it's been really cool to see in this issue some of those key turning points that we're focused on, and whether or not we're going to be able to stop them, which it never looks good in World Tree for humans. And so I hope they can figure it out. We've got Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles issue 15 from IDW. This is, I mentioned that Robert Kirkman was like having his moment of like proving that he loved Transformers so much. This is Gene Luen Yang doing the same thing for Turtles. You can just see how much he loves the Turtles. And he picked up right after Jason Aaron's arc ended. And if you know, the previous 150 issue run left with Master Splinter not alive, and we were kind of wondering what was ever going to happen to him, and Jason Aaron brought him back right before he left. And the boys have been trying to deal with the fact that, like, where did their father come from? How did he come back from the dead? And why does his appearance seem to coincide with this evil, like, death spirit? And in this issue, they actually get all of those answers, and they're actually able to see it. And it's really cool to see each of the Turtles' kind of viewpoint on if our father was back from the dead and was living a different kind of expectation. Like, how would we kind of turn the tables on him? Like, what if he's not the good guy anymore? What if Master Splinter was suddenly a bad guy? How would each of the Turtles kind of approach that situation, and how would they as a group move forward? But it's not just that, because Splinter is here on a mission, and we learn what that mission actually is in this issue. I'm not going to spoil it for you yet, but if you don't read it soon, I will, because it's crazy. It's crazy twists and turns, and I love what they're doing with the Turtles right now. We've got Rocket Fellers, issue 12 from Image and our Ghost Machine imprints. This is such a fun series, such a family-focused story, all about a family from the future who finds themselves in a mess of trouble when they kind of are the people who invented a technology that might bring about the end of the world. And to keep themselves safe, they go back in time and come to our time. But unfortunately for them, they are being hunted by a bounty hunter who also happens to be the sister of the dad of our family. And they are kind of stuck dealing with, what do we do with this sister who's coming, and the attacks that she's putting on them. And in the last issue, we had a big battle that left us with some devastating information, and we're kind of seeing the fallout of that, including this sister who's become the bounty hunter against them suddenly having no memory. And so the family is taking her in on this issue and trying to rehabilitate her to maybe come back to the good side. Meanwhile, we get our first little taste of a mysterious other organization who seems to be hunting this family and know a lot about future traveling. And who are they, and what does their role have to play into this? We're starting to see more and more layers unfold in every issue, and we still have all the tragedy that's come our way to deal with, and it just keeps getting better and better. We've got The Future Is, issue 10 from Rekka. This, speaking of things just kind of getting bigger and bigger and unfolding more, this has been a series that's really grown, and I really think that people who like X-Men would really enjoy, like modern X-Men would really enjoy this series, because it has a lot of similar feel to it. But this is about a group of people who are all kind of hackers in their own right. And they've been brought together initially because they all kind of had a similar target that they wanted to take down. And a man came in and built a team of these people to try to take down this one target. And after doing that, they realized, there's a lot of other bad people in this world, and we have the means to do it. So maybe we should keep working at this. And So they go in and they're investigating a situation that's been happening at an institution for children who seem to have special powers and abilities, all kind of geared around this technology. And while they're there, they have discovered there's more dangers than they thought. And in this issue, they come back to the place to try to figure out, like, hey, maybe this thing is going on crazy. And they get trapped inside of this game that's all, kind of pulling them in technologically, and they're kind of trapped in this alternative web version of reality. And they have to figure out how to work together to get out, but also to kind of understand what exactly it is that they're facing and how they can save these children before it's too late. And the challenges are really cool. I do like that one of the things this book does really well is it comes up with very non-traditional things that we've seen in comics and brings them into it, which is really cool storytelling that's happening in there. We've got Blood and Thunder issue 10 from Image and the Skybound imprint. This has been a fun story to see grow. This is all about a young woman who is a human, or at least a human-looking person who lives in space, and she works for an organization that's kind of bounty hunters, police kind of situation. And since she can't actually be on the force, she is more of a bounty hunter for them. And she has a gun that has its own artificial intelligence in it that her father left behind for her. And so she treats it kind of like the father that she wishes she still had. Over the course of this, she's been on a mission to capture this one monster. And what she's learned in the process is that the humans, the actual Earth humans, are very, very bad people. And they seem to be hiding knowledge and misusing the alien people that they're supposed to be protecting and abusing them and using them for their own personal gain. And so now she's kind of conflicted on what side she's really on. And in this issue, we get to see her kind of go team up with the man that she's supposed to be hunting, the monster she's supposed to be hunting, and realize that he's got more information than her and more truth than anybody's ever shared, and that may actually lead to information about who her family is and where she comes from in a way that she's never understood before. And it really opened a lot of doors at the end of this issue and had a lot to say about those doors as we went through them. We've got Free Planet issue 9 from Image Comics. This book continues to build and build on the world that it's established. We are looking at a world where we've kind of figured out finally how to develop a utopian planet. And so this one planet has figured out how to stop all wars and to work together. And because of that, of course, that puts them at odds with a lot of, and pretty much every other planet in the galaxy. And we've kind of seen how that's played out. There's one group of people who are kind of in charge of how this planet is supposed to run, and their job is to essentially keep wars from coming back. But unfortunately, war isn't the problem, because right now they're facing famine, and they keep saying things like, we built this perfect peaceful planet, but now our people are going to starve to death because nobody wants to trade with them, and nobody wants to be the one that's considered the worker at certain levels. And so we're just seeing a lot of issues where they can't really figure out who is supposed to be doing different things. And now we're having these battles break out all over the place. And as the committee tries to figure out whose job it is to actually put these things into place, and kind of be the ones in charge of it, they're starting to see some breakdowns between them because they all don't have similar viewpoints on how things should work. And the problem with peace is that if you can't agree on how things should go, how do you stop that? How do you stop those disagreements? And some of them want them to resort to more violent means than others, and it's really becoming a mess. We have Never Wars, issue 8 from AMP Comics. This is the end of this, and it is such a good story, and I'm so happy that AMP gave us this and brought this out as their first big story. But this is all about a battle between all of the different fantasy worlds, specifically Neverland, Oz, and Wonderland. And we have seen each of these people from the real world, and it's important to note that this kind of started with people during one of the world wars realizing that they are like Dorothy Gale and Peter Pan and a young George who can save Wonderland, and they've all kind of come to this place, and they're in this spot, and because they come from this war-torn country, they don't want to fight anymore, and they realize in this issue that is all that the Jabberwocky thrives on, is the discord and the violence that happens between them. And so they realize that in order to to stop the battles of their worlds, they have to actually learn to work together. And the way that they do that is such a beautiful story. And I don't want to show you too much because this is the end. But if you didn't read Never Wars, it's so good. Go out and grab it, or wait, because I'm sure there's going to be a trade paperback because it's such a good series. And I cannot wait. I hope it is collected because it's so much fun. We've got Space Ghost, issue 8 from Dynamite Comics. If you are a fan of classic Space Ghost cartoons, this is giving you everything you could possibly love. In it, this arc, we've seen kind of the first time we've seen like a full ongoing story that's just kind of picks up right after. And it's following along as Jan and Jace's grandfather has become an evil, dark, antimatter like villain. And he doesn't even know that he has that power. He doesn't realize that those are his grandchildren anymore. He's kind of lost sight of it, and they don't know that it's him. And so while they and Space Ghost are trying to fight this evil, they are starting to come to the realization that there is that connection. And in this issue, they realize, oh my gosh, if this is Grandpa, like what do we do? How do we fight this evil that's kind of taken over our grandfather? And also, like, as two kids who have lost their parents and their planet and all of their stuff, they really don't want to lose another family member. And so you get a lot of really heavy conversations for them too as they attempt to fight that battle. Godzilla Escape the Dead Zone, issue 6 from IDW. This is a part of our new Keisei era for the Godzilla world, and it is an interesting way to do it. This has been a really fun story. This is all about, in our new Keisei era of Godzilla, we are seeing that the kaiju like power that it kind of invokes them, that makes them have all of this strength and skill, can actually be transferred in different ways to humans. And so we are seeing a lot of humans who have different powers, and this takes place in Portland, which is the dead zone because it was destroyed by a kaiju attack years and years ago. And we have one kaiju person who is literally a person who is kind of a kaiju, and then we have these two twins who are supposed to have this like magic kaiju, different powers that they can invoke. And then we have a young girl who wants Godzilla to love her because that's her fan fiction, and so she's turned herself into a giant kaiju-sized little girl. And the four of these people have been working together to deal with the dead zone, and recently the twins were kidnapped, and so they've been trying to save them. But what we learned is the community of cultish leaders who believe in Godzilla as their god have lost their ever-loving minds, and so these guys are struggling right now to deal with the battle against that, and it just gets more and more wild as it goes on in this issue. We've got Baby Ziki coming our way. This is Ziki, issue 5 from SHP and their kids line. This is all about a young boy named Ziki who has an imaginary world that he travels to. And in that imaginary world, he has always battled against the Rat King. But the evil version of himself also lives in that world. And in the course of the series, that evil Ziki has made his way to our world and has kind of taken all of Ziki's family hostage and has brought the Rat King over and is using them as his own personal army to fight against the human world. In this issue, Ziki finally figures out a way that he could possibly get back and save his family, and so we do get to see that epic battle and showdown between Ziki and all of the villains, as well as him build his own team of heroes and realizing that, like, maybe not everybody he thought was a villain has to be that, you know, and we don't need to paint people certain ways as we go along. Really cute one for kids, and I love that his fictional world is more of the manga anime style. So we have a mangaka artist on the manga side drawing it, and then we have an American style Western comic artist drawing the regular world, which is really cool. We've got the Phantom, issue 5 from Mad Cave, which is going to wrap up this arc of the Phantom and lead us into whatever is coming next, which we kind of get a hint of at the end, but I don't want to tell you. If you've been following along in this story, the Phantom has been trying to defend the village that his friends live in because an evil drug lord has come in and realized there was a village there. And at the very beginning of issue 1, he took this village hostage, and the Phantom had shown up and tried to save the day, and now the drug lord is after the Phantom for taking out his men and is like, I'm going to take you down. You have 1 hour to show yourself. And of course, if you've been reading along, you know the Phantom hasn't been doing too well in some of his fights, and so he's struggling a little bit, and so he's got to kind of manipulate the situation a bit in the fight in this battle, and we do get to see how that battle wraps up, and again, set up what's coming next for the Phantom. Really good. If you're a Phantom fan and you didn't read this, absolutely grab it. It has all that like pulpy feel with like some really deep, like modern kind of stuff coming into it too. We've got Dynamite Blood Red issue 5 from Dynamite Comics. This is such a fun series because it's bringing all the ladies of the Dynamite world together in the most ridiculous way possible. There is a virus that has broken out over Earth that has caused all men to become zombies, and only men. And so we are left with the women of Dynamite here building their own different teams and universes to fight against. And upon her arrival, we learn from Deja Thoris that this virus originated on her home planet, and she feels like she can stop it from spreading any further with a cure that a mad scientist from her planet has. What we learn in this issue, though, is that that is actually not the case, and that they are trying to create this virus to take on women as well. And so the girls have to figure out a way to stop that from happening, as well as stop themselves from fighting with each other with all the different factions of different Dynamite characters. If you love Purgatory, Vampirella, Deja Thoris, Red Sonja, Miss Fury, they're all in here. It's a fun time and just a lighthearted roll. I'm going to take another drink of this wine before we shift to the number 4s. So, oh, definitely more spicy now.
That's good.
Yeah, I like the spices. I don't know what they are, but I like them.
Yeah, and it's not pepper.
It's not pepper. It's not like a Tempranillo spice. It's like, but it is like a spice to it.
And there's
So
a bit of green bell pepper.
I can taste that. Interesting. It's very good. All right, we've got the last day of H.P. Lovecraft number 4 from Boom Studios. Still not to the end of Lovecraft's time, but we are pretty much getting closer. And in this one, in this series, if you don't know, this series has been following the last day of H.P. Lovecraft as he's kind of getting a little bit of a Christmas Carol moment where people are coming through and saying like, hey, you're going to be remembered for the work that you created. But also, if you didn't know, you're a terrible human being. And you wrote that into a lot of your stories, and people are going to dissect that for centuries to come, and they're going to talk about how you were a bad person and how that shows up, like how everything you put into your work really just showcased that. And he kind of has those moments where he's like, okay, well, like, what am I supposed to do about it? Like, I'm not going to write something different. And so he's writing these letters that kind of just hint at all those different things, and as he has those different memories. And in this issue, he's visited by a bunch of people who are known for being big name writers who also kind of have moments like that in their time that's still current. And he has some conversations with them about it as he enters into those last days, and so stuff starts to become silent as we move into that last day and what's going to happen. But we do still have another issue of this, and so we're going to see what that final moment actually looks like for him as that story dissolves around him. We've got Mary Sue issue 4 from Boombox, which is the teen imprint of Boom Studios. This is such a fun book. You feel happy every time you read it. This is about a young girl who writes fan fiction, and it's kind of where she's found her safe space, and she's got a couple of friends online. And of course, she has the frenemy, the girl who used to be her best friend in school, and they're no longer friends, and she gets made fun of for being the fan fiction writer. And one day, out of nowhere, her main character, her Mary Sue, shows up at her school and is like, hey, I'm a real person now, and I'm here to help out and hang out with you. And that doesn't really go very well for her. Like, it starts out nicely, but then when they go to the church lock-in, they have some really big fights and everything with the other kids, including her former best friend. And now they have learned that her former best friend also writes fan fiction and has been secretly doing it so that nobody would make fun of her. And now the two girls are stuck trying to write a fan fiction together so that they can actually get rid of some things that have arrived that they don't want around, and also save her own her own Mary Sue and her own character, because she needs to bring it back. Again, such a happy, fun book, such great art by Lisa Sturrell, which I will always love. And if you have not read that book yet and you like fan fiction at all, or if you just want a happy day, read Mary Sue, because you'll definitely feel good when you read it. We've got Die Loaded issue 4 from Image Comics. This is the newest installment in the Die universe from Kieran Gillen, but you can start here. And so I want people to know, like, even if you haven't read the previous volumes of Die, this is an easy jump in point for a new story. And if you do know or don't know the story, Die is all about a bunch of people who, playing a role-playing D&D kind of game, get sucked into the world of that game and cannot get out. And we've seen over the course of the years of Die, we've seen them get sucked back in more than once and kind of have to experience this. One of the characters from the original volumes of Die passes away before the series starts, and they all begin issue 1 of this volume at the funeral. And at the funeral, a bunch of them receive a random present. And unfortunately for those who receive the present, it is actually a die that locks them into the game. And now they are finding themselves stuck in this situation. And thankfully, our lead character is married to somebody who was previously stuck in the Die world, and so she kind of has an idea of what he went through and how to deal with it, and the fact that they have to work their way back out. But the rest of the people that are stuck there with her have no idea, and it just gets further and further into some dangerous zones for them. It's such a beautiful book and so well done. Again, if you've never read Die and you want to jump in, you can jump in right here. There are trade paperbacks still in print of all of the other volumes, though, if you want to read the whole thing. We've got Circus Maximus issue 4 from Mad Cave. This is what if you put Ocean's 11 into the time of ancient Rome while Nero was burning Rome. And it's such a fascinating story to see that happen. We have a woman who's a Vestal Virgin, a guy who's been forced to be kind of an enslaved person in a house, and then we have a guy who is a chariot driver in the races, all teamed up together to try to figure out how to rob the palace treasury while a big chariot race is actually going on, and while Nero is burning the city. And they feel like they've possibly got their chance to do it, and unfortunately for them, there has been so many messes along the way, including the fact that they find out that there are plans for Nero's new palace that shows that he is personally the person who burned the city to the ground. And those plans would help them get their freedom, except somebody stole them from them. And so now we are seeing these people have to figure out how to, like, pull another heist in order to get those plans back, in order to get their freedom from the previous heist. One twist and turn after another, and we're going to see if they're able to pull it off, probably in the next issue. Devil on My Shoulder, issue 3 from Dark Horse. This is such a good book, such a strong story coming our way from Kyle Starks, and much more serious than a lot of the ones we've seen him do. And this is also Peter Kowalski on art, so obviously a great team up, and looks so cool. But this is about a woman who is kidnapped by a bunch of like frat boys when they're all in their 20s, and she's taken to a barn where they just repeatedly abuse her and torture her and just cause so much physical harm to her. And one day they think that she is dead, and so they leave her behind, toss her over like a cliff face essentially, and are just like, let's get rid of her, get rid of the body. And she is found by a priest, and that priest, we learn, is a former member of the cartel, and this is kind of his atonement, is working for the church. And so he takes her in and starts training her on how to get her revenge, essentially, against these evil men in the world. And so she has been hunting them down one by one, trying to figure out how to get her due justice back against them. And it's so well done. So good. we've got Aerotech issue 3 from SHP. This is their mature line, whereas Zicky is on their kids line. Very, very, very different. This, though, is one of my favorite books on the shelf right now. I love the way that this story is going. This is about a woman who has a very stressful job. She is the person in charge of like product development for it's a place that makes sex toys, sex dolls specifically. And she has been struggling because in a world that's primarily dominated by male employees, they don't take her seriously. The techs don't take that, like the comp techs don't take her seriously. The businessmen don't take her seriously. The marketing department doesn't take her seriously. And yet this is her idea and her product. And she's got so many things that she keeps trying to push on them. And they just don't listen to her and are just kind of trying to push her out. And in the last issue, they hired a new man to come in and kind of be her counterpart, her other person who knows about stuff. And he has come in and is completely and totally trying to ruin her career from the very beginning, and does it in some of the skeeziest ways possible. And in this issue, she realizes and learns exactly what those ways are, and kind of starts to see that corporate America is never going to actually like accept her for who she is and the fact that she is the female in this industry. And so she's going to have to start fighting fire with fire, and I cannot wait to see what she does to do that. So good, such great commentary, and such an interesting way to turn that story too. Where Does the Rainbow End? Issue 2 from Mad Cave. If you read Love Hurts, was it Love Hurts? Am I going to get the name wrong?
Love Me.
Love Me, thank you. I was like, I know there's so many love started books. Love Me. This is actually the prequel to the Love Me universe, and so this is Gilda's story, and it's all about her as a young child. She was found on her own and as a baby, and was rescued by some robots, and they started raising her inside of the junkyard where they live. And so she's never actually seen another human. And at the end of issue 1, she has her first encounter with a young boy who she's surprised to see looks like a human like her, because she didn't know others existed. And in this issue, she has her first chance to venture out into the city, and she's like, I had no idea that all of this was here, that all these people existed. And she doesn't necessarily have the best experience with that. Meanwhile, the robots are trying to figure out, like the evil robots are trying to figure out where this young girl is and why these robots have a human in their midst. And so they have come looking for her, and we kind of just see a really good story developing between the different factions, which shows us why Gilda could fall for a robot, but also, and why she would love him, but also why the humans and robots have these problems between the two of them. And it's so beautifully done. Something Beyond the Petrichor, issue 2 from Red 5. Speaking of books that are beautifully done, I love this story as well. This is all about a young girl who is in an apocalyptic wasteland. There was a rain that came about that was kind of like an acid rain, but it couldn't destroy modern plastics. And so anybody who wasn't enshrouded in plastic was killed by this. And so were all the crops, all the buildings, everything that kind of existed was just all destroyed by this rain. And it keeps happening. It is still raining. And she was protected by her dad, but now she has a situation where she and her pet talking turtle, which may just be a stuffy, she may just be delusional, she and him are going on an adventure to try to figure out how to find more supplies and maybe find their way back home to the place where they originally started. And in this issue, as they make their way, they discover a man who is living inside of a kid's dollhouse, or playhouse, because of course they're made out of plastic, and that is covered in plastic as well. And he seems friendly at first, but there could be something nefarious and mysterious about people, because, well, they've kind of all gone crazy in this wasteland. Such a good book. We've got the most hilarious book of the week with Babs, issue 2. This is the Black Road South volume of Babs from Ahoy Comics. And seriously, I don't know how you could make Babs funnier than it already is, but we did. In volume 1 of Babs, we learned that she is kind of like Babs the Barbarian, and we kind of saw a parody of things like Conan in it. In this volume, we're kind of getting a parody of Lord of the Rings from Babs. And so this issue starts with essentially Frodo and Sam at the Mount Doom trying to destroy the ring, and we learn of Babs' folly in her role and part of the team. And now, because of, in issue 1, all of the money that Babs has acquired has been stolen by a group of adventurers who are planning to take their own fellowship down the Black Road south towards essentially their own version of Mordor, and go on this adventure. Babs is like, well, we're going to have to unfortunately stop them before they get on this path, because we are not going to travel this road. It is not going to happen. And of course, we know it's going to happen. Babs has just met up with the team that stole her money and is learning that they have their own barbarian, and she is far less funny and has no sense of humor at all. But we also know that there is somebody lurking in the wings chasing after Babs, and if you really, really, really want to laugh, read this story because it is so funny. We've got Gargoyles and Darkwing Duck issue 2 from Dynamite and their Disney Comics imprint. This is such a fun crossover for Disney afternoon kids that you didn't even ever know that you needed. In this series, we've seen Demona and her evil ways kind of decide that she wants the Quackronomicon, and the only person she can think of who knows where it is Darkwing's, the love of Darkwing's life, Morgana Dispel. Or Morgana, I don't think it's Dispel. I think Magica's last name is Dispel. Anyway, Morgana is her name, and she is determined to, she is Darkwing Duck's love of his life, and she has been kidnapped by Demona in attempts to get this evil book, and Morgana is not going to give away this information, so Darkwing has traveled to New York to try to find her, only to have to team up with Goliath, who Darkwing is immediately jealous of, because of course everybody thinks Goliath is so handsome and muscly, and he hates that. So the two of them have to team up though to try to stop it. And when it looks like everything is going really well, back at home, Gosling makes some terrible mistakes that keeps this series going for at least another issue as we try to figure out how to stop the Demona and all of her wicked ways. Again, Saturday morning cartoon fun, or after school fun, I guess, because they were weekday cartoons. Disney afternoon. DuckTales, speaking of the Disney afternoon, has their Valentine's Day special, and it is coming your way from Dynamite. If you are a fan of DuckTales, new or old, you're going to love this, especially this particular one, because this is all about Uncle Scrooge on Valentine's Day. And the thing is that Uncle Scrooge doesn't trust a Valentine, because he believes that Valentines are something that people are doing to try to be nice to him, to butter him up so that they can steal his original dime. As we know, that's all Scrooge really cares about. And so he gets a Valentine's card, and he is convinced that it is fraudulent and that somebody is after him. And so now he is mistrusting of everybody he comes in contact with. Unfortunately for him, one of those people is Magica Dispel, and she tries to cast a forgetful spell on him. Unfortunately for her, it backfires, and they both lose their memory. And they wake up together, and they realize that maybe they know each other. And they go to Magica's house, and she has a Scrooge picture up in her house from where she usually probably throw darts at it. And they think that they must be friends or allies, or possibly maybe even in love. And so the whole rest of the issue, the two are trying to have this romantic getaway that they keep thinking everybody is trying to ruin, because they think that they are a nice, happy couple. And of course, hijinks ensue as we realize that is, of course, not the case. All right, we have a ton of number ones this week. So we're going to kick it off with The Crown. This is A Tale of Hell. Oh my gosh, I was trying to say those two things together. Number one, and this is from Dark Horse and our Hellboy universe. And this is really cool because this is actually written by two Mignolas. So I don't know if that's Mike's son or not, but that's really cool. And this is all about Azazel trying to figure out who is going to take over the crown of hell and become the new leader. And we are focused on his two sons, one of which is really good at magic, and the other is really good at raising the army and leading the army into these battles. And every 100 years or so, his wife is able to leave the place where she is chained to a rock inside of hell. And so she is returned to help him pick who the winner is going to be. And of course, for her, she's like, it should be our daughter, because she is good at all of the things. And he's like, yes, but she will never come back and she will never be a part of it. And so they make their decision only to have that all interrupted by some big moves that are happening from other people in Hell, and we're going to see how this plays out in the next issue, because as with all of our Hellboy books, this is only like a 2-part series to just give you a little bit about that world. And so if you're interested in the world of Hellboy, these are always good ways to pick up and figure out what's going on. We've got The Center Holds, issue 1 from Boom Studios, which I love that a part of the sales of this go to the Hero Initiative. And if you don't know, that is a charity that actually helps comic creators who are in need. It helps them get the healthcare and things like that they need. And this is such a big first issue. There is so much that happens in this, both world building wise and action wise. This is a superhero world where things are a little different. We have some superheroes and villains, but it kind of seems like we've got some blurred lines in there. But we've got 3 main heroes that we're following along with, one of which is a woman who has like a disc that she travels on that talks to her and tells her things. And then we've got, of course, our typical like Superman kind of hero that seems to have all of the powers. But not only do we have that and these villains who are so well defined for this being a first issue, but we kind of learn everybody's powers and a little bit of their personalities and backstories as well. But we seem to have this organization that has some connecting point to possibly dealing with the backside of what's happening with these heroes. Like maybe they're developing some of this technology, maybe they're kind of fighting alongside of them, but we do see that there is also, not only is there that, but there's also this Justice League kind of situation, and there's all the different, that brings all the teams together. It's like a representative from each superhero team and superhero part of the world come together in this, and they kind of discuss the fact that there's some stuff going on in superheroing, and they need to really address it, and we get to see a little bit more of those characters. There are so many. This is partially like part of the co-creator team is Larry Hama, who you may know from like the world of G.I. Joe. But this is such a big universe already, and so if you're looking for an alternative superhero story, or if you're fans of things like the Invincible World or Local Man or even the Radiant Black universe, and you just like those superheroes that are just a little bit different, I think this is going to give you another good story. We've got Just Brutal #1 launching from Ignition, and what a fun story this one is going to be. This is all about a kid named Jordan who's 16 years old, and he's like, man, I've got the coolest dad. He does all of this stuff. He's so awesome. Also, he's not around anymore because my parents got divorced, and his mom has started dating a new guy who is just kind of like the perfect stepdad. He brings ice cream home. He's like all into helping Jordan with all of this stuff. He just wants Jordan to like him. And for, of course, just nothing more than the fact that he's not his dad, Jordan keeps him at a distance and kind of doesn't want anything to do with him. Well, Jordan thinks that everything is going well enough in his house and his life for, it being a complete and total disaster, when suddenly his twin sister and his dad show up for the first time in months. Both of them have been gone. His twin sister's been gone for a year. His dad's been gone since the divorce. He hasn't heard from either of them, and when they show up, they bring some monsters with them, and things get really dangerous really fast, and Jordan learns that his parents, not who he thought they were. The reason they got a divorce, it's definitely something deeper, and Jordan now finds himself in the middle of some supernatural dangers that he had no idea were coming his way. We've got Good Bones and Other Sordid Tales. This is from Boom Studios, and it's part of the Hello Darkness world. So we've got one new story in here that is the Good Bones story, and the others are some of Steve Orlando's big stories from the different Hello Darkness ones. So I'm going to skip all of the ones we've already seen and may not have seen, but I'm not going to go through them since we've already gone through them before. And I'm going to tell you about Good Bones, which is the new story. And so if you haven't read the previous ones, if you're not picking up Hello Darkness, it's really cool because you'll get to see some of those really good anthology stories that Steve Orlando provided us for different kinds of things. But in this one, we see a man who is known as the guy who picks up like old properties that are kind of destroyed and does the, like the flip on them and makes them really cool. And he finds a property that he learns was a safe space for queer people in the past. And they're Like, and he's like, oh, wow, this has really good history. I'm going to use that as a selling point for the house. And then kind of completely and totally destroys that history and everything about the house. And we get to see that little bit of comeuppance that comes with that, which, of course, we get to see in all of these. Steve Orlando kind of mentions in the back that he's never been one that he would thought himself a horror writer, and yet here we have 4 really great stories that have been featured across the world of Hello Darkness from Steve Orlando, and you definitely want to check that out. It's a great way to get all of those at one time. We've got the Witchblade Annual from Image Comics and Top Cow. If you have not been reading the new Witchblade, this one's not really going to give you a lot to go off of in the world of the Witchblade like story for Sarah, because this actually focuses on Ian, who we learned nothing about in Witchblade, as he was kind of manipulating Sarah the whole time, and so we never really got to see anything about him. And this actually gives us a bunch of different stories that show his past. It shows how he became essentially the fighter that he is, and what kind of led him down the path of being somebody who would battle with different people and would join the different types of fighting clans. And then we do see how that kind of plays out for him over time as he finds himself in growing into, like, from kid to teen to adult and a part of each of those battles. But he does also find himself, in what we see, getting tangled up into the world of that magic that leads him to Sarah, that ability to find those the keys that travel to these different spaces. And it does show him meeting Kenneth Irons, who, if you read the first volume of the new Witchblade, you know was Sarah's big foe, and all the stuff that led to their connection and why he was trying to be a part of this manipulation of Sarah. We get to see all of that. There's 4 little different points in his life that all lead him down the path, and you're going to see all of those, and it's going to round that out. I would not jump in here if you're looking to just learn about Witchblade, because, again, you don't see any of the Witchblade. But if you read the Witchblade story and you want to know more about Ian, this is a great way to find that information. We've got Tortured Hearts, which is a one-shot for Valentine's Day from Oni Press and their EC Comics return. This is going to have Tales of Doom and Devotion all mixed together. We've got 5 stories in this one. The first one is all about a man who is trying to find the perfect woman, and he goes on dates and dating shows and everything, and decides that the best thing he can do is just build his own. And we see, of course, something that goes even beyond the Frankensteinian course of trying to build the perfect thing in any capacity. And then we see a story of a woman who is a queen who is trying to find her perfect king, and is happy to have this exciting, happy story with him, only to find that there is this darkness that comes and takes over the kingdom and leads her into despair. We find a story of a couple who is trying to enjoy a weekend retreat to rekindle the spark of their love, something that they are very, very far from. And when they get there, they run into a couple who have been killers, and they learn a little bit about what it's like to be a killer and kind of, find that spark. And then we have a story about a girl who needs somebody to come and do work on the electricity in her house, and he begins to stalk her. And we see that the police don't take it seriously, and we kind of see everything that comes from that and how that situation is resolved. And this takes place in the early 1990s, and kind of talks a little bit about the fact that, like, stalker laws did finally come in because of situations like that in the 90s. And then, as always, we get a backup story that is from the original EC Comics, and this is going to be a romantic horror story to just fill out the rest of your Valentine's Day experience. And so if you are looking for a good Valentine's horror anthology, that is another one to add to your collection for sure. We've got The Digger #1 from Invader Comics. This comic feels so good. I love the paper stock that they used on it. But this is all about a young boy who is in Mexico, and he is dealing with the fact that his grandmother is very, very sick. And he has already lost pretty much all the rest of his family, and he wants to figure out a way that he can keep his grandma safe. And unfortunately, the medicine that she's taking isn't enough anymore, and he's already kind of running tricks on the street trying to figure out how to get the money for that. And now he finds himself having to acquire more money, which is good for him and bad for him, that a mysterious man shows up and is like, hey, do you know anything about this mysterious place and this artifact and these things? Like one of those kind of situations where he's like, I need to find this. Can you take me to it? And initially the young boy says no, but he realizes that he might not have an option if he wants to figure out how to save his grandma. And this sets up a very dark, dangerous adventure for this young boy that I cannot wait to see how it unfolds. This is such a great start, and so much is going to come from that issue that I cannot wait to see. We've got Thundercats and their Valentine's Day special, and this is from Dynamite as well. And this is all about Panthro, who we recently saw in the Thundercats issues kind of go off on his own into space. And so this is a completely different time for him. He is working out in the field trying to discover something, and he comes across two different warring groups that are in the middle of a battle, and he kind of stops them and saves somebody from it, only to realize like he's worried that he might have saved the bad guys. And so he travels back with them to their home place and learns of a long-running war between these two places, because the food source that one place needs in order to cook that food source and make it prepared for them to eat, which they have to have. It is something that their bodies have to survive. In order to make it, it actually produces a toxin that is killing everybody of the other like kingdom right next to them. And so while they've always been in wars about it, they actually recently tried to fix it because the king and queen of that place fell in love, and unfortunately for them, or the prince and princess, I guess I should say, fell in love. And unfortunately for them, there was a lot of twists and turns and backstabbing, and now they're still in this danger zone. And so Panther decides that maybe he can help by coming up with a way to make this food in a way that doesn't harm anybody, and maybe he can restore this balance between them and discover what is actually the dark and dangerous things happening for them. And of course, it's a one-shot, so you get that whole story in there. If you're a Thundercats fan, that is definitely a good one to jump in on just for a fun little story. We've got The Thing on the Doorstep, issue 1 from Image Comics. This is setting up something very dark and mysterious and honestly Lovecraftian. This is all about a boy named Edward Derby and his best friend, and the two of them. It starts with a very dark opening, and then it kind of goes back, and we flash through different points in their life, and we see where these two young boys meet, and we see where Edward realizes that he wants to study at Miskatonic, and he wants to kind of learn all of these dark, like mysterious magics and things that he can have. And so we get to see each of the points in their life, like where Edward falls further and further into the magic and the elements that he is studying, and the friend falls more and more into just the general life. He finds the love of his life, he gets married, he has kids, he kind of builds that stable life, and the more Edward gets into the darkness, the more this friend kind of gets into the light, and they seem to have this balance point. But what is the evil that's coming for Edward, and how does it lead us to the dark place that we start the first page of the series on? We don't know. We don't really know much of anything yet after this issue, which I really enjoyed, because I was like, ooh, this is setting up a dark mystery, and I want to go down this rabbit hole with them. And I love that coming out of issue 1, still don't really know where we're going, but we know where it ends. And so we're going to see how we get there, and it's going to be fun. We've got Gigante from AMP Comics. This is issue 1 as well, and this is our newest title from AMP. Always giving us a different genre every time they bring a book, and I love to see it. This is all about a group of people who are trying to find their way in this world. It's a group of immigrants who are trying to, at the beginning, we see them trying to come across into America, and they are captured by some people who are trying to harm them very much, and they are saved by this mysterious spirit. And then it fast forwards into a different time, and we see a young girl who is trying to make a documentary about the people who are living in this this like slat community, this like slum community, essentially, like the in between where you can't actually live in a normal like American environment, and because they won't accept you, and so they're living in these homes and they're trying to build this community. And she's trying to make a documentary about the thing that happened that to her parents, because her parents didn't make it across the border when she was young, and she's trying to figure out how to tell that story. And while she's learning that, she hears about Gigante, and she's like, who is this hero, and could I find a way to tell this story? And they're like, no, we can't expose the story, we can't expose our hero. Meanwhile, her boyfriend has joined up with a group of people trying to do his own undercover expose of all of the dark like people on the border who are causing harm to people. And we're gonna see what kind of trouble they both get into as they try to reveal the world of what is happening along the border. We've got Fur Force issue 1 from Antarctic Press. This is for all of you looking for just another anthropomorphic hero world. This is going to be a great one. And it's kind of in the same realm as like the way Dog Supreme is kind of giving us Supreme, but with a dog. This is giving us, I'm not going to lie to you right now, Cat Lactus and the Silver Fox. So we have a giant cat who is Galactus, who is devouring planets, and he has a silver fox who is a silver surfer, and that silver fox ends up on what is essentially their version of Earth, and is where everybody is a different kind of cat, like a different cat or animal, and he is trying to figure out how to not destroy this world, because as he experiences it, he realizes he really loves it, and he doesn't want anything to happen to it. Meanwhile, we've got a young girl who is a superhero who is in school. Her name is Tomorrow Fox, and she is trying to figure out how to stop a heist that is happening at a museum of a mysterious jewel that is there. And these two heroes, in their own right, their paths cross, and they must figure out how to work together, not just for that, but of course because Tomorrow Fox doesn't want her planet destroyed. And so we see some new heroes on top of that get added to the team as they are going to figure out what their next adventure is going to be and how they're going to stop Cat Lactus from eating the whole Earth. We've got Barbarian Behind Bars #1 from Mad Cave. This is a new adventure coming our way, and it stars a barbarian who is from some mysterious place. We don't know where, because he speaks a language that nobody understands, and he and another barbarian of sorts find themselves in the middle of New York City, and their battle has destroyed much of the city, much of each other, all kinds of stuff, and people in danger, and so they are captured. They are brought into jail, and we are following as the attorney who gets assigned to the case is trying to figure out how exactly she's supposed to defend this person who she doesn't understand anything he's saying. She doesn't think that what he did was right, and she doesn't really know exactly anything of what she's supposed to do. She's very like against her job, honestly, really. Meanwhile, he is in prison, and he is struggling because once again he does not speak any of the languages, and all these people are kind of trying to make something happen. You know, you've got all the people trying to get him to join their gang and all the different things, and he is determined to find his way out, and that is setting up some big adventures for everybody involved, and we're going to see how they play out. All right, I'm going to take another drink before we do Picks of the Week. Again, we're drinking Sierra de Enmedio. This is a monostraw. Oh, wow. Yet again, a different flavor. Mm.
What is more oak?
A lot more oak now. Very woody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Woody, peppery. The cherries settled in.
Yeah.
Vanilla, chocolate, limestone.
Right? See, you can get that limestone flavor, right? I've licked a lot of chalk rocks in my life. I know my limestone. I might not be able to tell you other flavors, like what fruit's in there, but I can definitely tell you when it tastes like limestone. So I got one going for me as a wine connoisseur. All right, we're going to talk about some picks of the week for you. First up, we've got Terabytes, issue 5 from Mad Cave. This issue being written by Mark Russell. Was kind of again, I just really love what this series does, and every time we get a different issue, I think that it's wonderful. But this is an anthology series about a group of aliens who, like, or of robots, I should say, maybe alien robots, but they have found information about, like, they're kind of investigating this Earth, our Earth, in the future when it's been destroyed, and they're kind of learning different things about it. And this issue I really, really liked because it was about this couple, and they both wanted to work for this Space Force, and she ended up getting a job as a virologist, and she started doing all of this big research and working on all these big projects, and he couldn't pass the test, and his strengths were somewhere else, and so he ended up joining as a pilot instead of as a scientist, and he got sent on this mission, and the mission was like, okay, you have to, if you can survive this one mission, we'll essentially give you a job. And he solved the mission and like made it through because he used essentially their version of ChatGPT to kind of help him through, and that led him to become this pilot. And so he was sent on this big mission, and she didn't stop him from taking it. It was one of those missions where she kind of knew if he took it, he wasn't going to be allowed to come back to Earth. And now she's having to face the fact that they're saying, like, hey, you can't come back onto the planet because your ship has been infected with the different viruses that you have on it. And so she has to make the choice of, like, how do I take my husband and, like, let him back in? What do I choose to go with him? What actually happened out there? And we get to see all of it, and it's Mark Russell, so you get this really emotional journey, and you get kind of the conflict of, I didn't tell, like, my significant other how I felt. I kind of, like, let the battle be between us and our careers and not about ourselves, and then you still get Mark Russell twists and turns. It is so good. Every time, again, that Terabytes comes out, there's something new and exciting that really, like, twists the story a lot. And this mission that we see and this story that we see in here, so good. I love it so much. All right, we'll do this one next. We've got Bleeding Hearts #1 from DC and Vertigo, and I'm so excited to have the return of Vertigo, the first issue one from Vertigo, actually, like, be on here and be such a great story. This is Dennis Camp giving us a very warm bodies kind of story in the cutest, most adorable, hilarious way possible. This is all about a young guy who is a zombie in a world of zombies. At this point, that's pretty much all that's left. They very rarely come across humans, except he has a mysterious secret that's different than all the zombies, in that his heart has started beating. And he doesn't really know what's going on. He doesn't know why his heart is making these thumpy, thumpy sounds, and why he's starting to feel things for the humans that they're going after when they go after them. And he keeps trying to have conversations with his zombie friends, and they don't have the same experiences. And so he's trying to kind of push it down and keep it secret, keep it safe kind of situation. And we kind of get to see a lot about how this zombie world looks and works, which is really cool. They're kind of named for, like, the worst thing they've ever done or different stuff that's happening to them. And so they have the most hilarious names. I don't want to spoil any of them for you because they're so funny, like, in universe as you read them. But they do find themselves going to the suburbs, and the thing about suburbs is there's usually lots of cool things that they can find, but it's also a place where they find a lot of people usually, and he's really nervous because he is starting to have all of those feels. Such a cool book. If you are a fan of the movie Warm Bodies, this is going to be another one that you have to absolutely get because it has such a similar start point, but instead of being Romeo and Juliet, we're having more of that self-discovery and that hero's journey in here, and it's so good. It's funny, it's lighthearted, it's got a lot that's coming your way. It feels like old Vertigo with a whole new, like, beautiful aesthetic, and so jump in right now with that book. And then lastly, we have Crownsville issue 4 from Oni Press. I'm going to keep putting this book in my picks of the week because it's going to keep being so good, and it just gets better every time. I don't know where Rodney Barnes is taking us, because he keeps twisting it up just enough every issue to make it so good, and it just keeps being amazing. But this is all about a reporter, a police detective, and a guy who just got a job as a security guard, all kind of intersecting their lives when they realized that a local asylum in the area had a very dark secret, and that is that in the 70s they were doing experiments on young children of color that they were taking off the streets, and each one of them is connected in a different way. And unfortunately for everybody in Crownsville and the town all around it, is that those kids that they experimented on, they're back. And they are not happy, and they are ready to get their revenge. And we see that from page 1, but we see it happening in different ways. And in this issue, what I love is that they've kind of come to the understanding that that is what's happening, and they're trying to figure out who they can talk to about it, because our reporter learned about it from his mom on her deathbed, and now he's trying to figure out, like, what doctors did she work with, and what police can they go to, and, like, are the police even going to believe them? And so this is the issue where they're trying to tell all the people and track down the information they need. And so we're going to military bases, we're going to doctors, like, we're going to the police, we're going all over the place, and we are learning a lot of dark secrets, and the book just gets better and better in every single issue. It is so good. If you have not picked up Crownsville yet, it might be my favorite Oni Press book on the shelf by far, because it is so, I love it so much. It's so good. What'd you say?
Nothing.
Oh, okay. What, say it?
Spirit of the Shadows.
Oh, Spirit of the Shadows is also Oni. Man, Oni, you're killing it right now, guys. 2 of my favorite books. That's true. I love both of them. Oh my gosh. Yeah. We're going to just keep racking up these Oni Press picks of the week if they keep putting out books like that. Man. All right. Man, we got some great books going. I love when comics are so good that I'm like, is this my favorite book? And Matt's like, well, what about this one? I'm like, that's my favorite book too. What if all of them were just my favorite? Because that's really how that happens. I just love comic books. Here's what else came out this week and things we still have in stock. We've got the Vampirella Winter Special, The Fall of Ultraman. This is #1 coming your way from the new Ultraman, and I believe the last Ultraman series that we're going to get from Marvel. Pop Kill is reprinting #1 with a special Valentine's Day cover. We've got The Expanse of Little Death. This is issue 4 in and up right there. We've got Donald Duck issue 2 with these new Fantagraphic Donald Ducks. Black Cat issue 7 with the cat getting Venom's tongue right here. It's such a great cover. We've got Action Comics number 1095. Supergirl hits issue 10 with that adorable Chrissy Zulo cover. Deadly Tales of Gunslinger Spawn issue 13. And Curse of Shirley Johnson issue 4, both from your Spawn universe. Planet She-Hulk issue 4. G.I. Joe, it hits, Real American Hero hits issue 325. We've got Green Lantern Corps. This is issue 13 of the Corps. We've got Alien vs. Captain America issue 3. Batman and Robin issue 30. Immortal Legend Batman hits issue 6 this week. Aquaman issue 14. Spider-Man Noir issue 5, which I believe wraps up the Spider-Man Noir story. Amazing Spider-Man Torn issue 5, which may be the last one of that as well. Venom issue 254 and Ultimate X-Men issue 24 as we come closer and closer to the end of the Ultimate line. We've got a bunch of trade paperbacks and graphic novels in stock. There was a release of smaller, not quite compact, but smaller size Daredevil books. This is Daredevil The Dark Art, and this is issues 10 through 28 of the 2015 Charles Soule run. We also had Daredevil Back in Black, which is issues 1 through 9 of that same 2015 run, so you can get both of these together, as well as the annual from 2016, Daredevil Punisher 7th Circle 1 through 4, and all new, all different .1. These are definitely conveniently timed with the drop of the Daredevil trailer for season 2, so if I had to guess, they might be something you want to grab. And then we also had the Death of Daredevil, which is Daredevil 595 through 612, which is also Charles Soule, which is also that same time period. So if you want to get your Charles Soule Daredevil on conveniently, again, timed with the launch of information about season 2, I would suggest you grab those. We've got Luna Express, which is a new graphic novel from Top Shelf. This is about, crummy day jobs, nights on the town, and trying to have friends who don't abuse their magical powers. This is something, it's kind of very much like a Kiki's delivery service for adults, because this is about a delivery writer and her magical powers. We've got A Star Called the Sun. This is a robotic clergy, post-human hivemen, immortal cyborgs, and ancient alien races, all a part of the sci-fi anthology that's got some really cool stories and some really cool art too. We've got One World Under Doom. This is the whole thing, issues 1 through 9, that new Doom story that just came out from Ryan North. If you missed it, you can catch it in trade. Epitaphs from the Abyss. This is issues 9 through 12. This is volume 2 of Epitaph. Volume 3? Volume 2. Volume 3. Holy cow. Wow. Of Epitaphs of the Abyss. Crazy. We finally have a trade paperback collection in stock of Amethyst, this is the Amy Reeder who did Moon Girl, Devil Dinosaur. This is her series that came out in that time period where we had Wonder Comics from, headed up by Brian Michael Bendis. This is Amy Reeder's story. We've got the collected edition of Crypto. This is issues 1 through 5 of the new Crypto Last Dog series that recently came out. If you missed it, this is adorable. So I love that it has a content warning that says the story contains scenes of bad people being unkind to dogs. True heroes care for their furry friends and treat them with love and respect. Because, seriously, if you hurt my animal, I'm not going to be happy. We've got, this is The Nobody. This is the Invisible Man story told in present-day rural Canada, and it's done by Jeff Lemire. If you didn't read this, you need to. It's Jeff Lemire doing The Invisible Man in Canada. What else do you need? This is volume 2 of the Detective Comics story that's going on right now in trade paperback form. This is going to have a bunch of issues that are not labeled on the back. So, oh, there it is, 1097 to 1099. So, there you go. And then Book of Slaughter has been combined into this beautiful hardcover. There's also a slipcover copy version as well. If you are big fans of Something Is Killing the Children and you're completionist, this is something you're definitely going to want to add to your collection. It is absolutely gorgeous. Look at that. It's so nice. You got to check it out. And this is just those Books of Slaughter that came out as companion books to the House of Slaughter story. And then lastly, volume 9 of I Hate Fairyland is out as well. And so if you haven't read this volume, this is issues 41 through 45 of the story, and this is a hilarious adventure, so you want to grab that. And if you got dorked 2 weeks ago and you're not picking up I Hate Fairyland, I don't know what you're doing with your life, because it's the same crew and it's just as good, so you got to get it. That's all we got for you today. Don't forget, Matt and I will be gone all this week. Katie will be here. The store will be open, but we will not be taking CGC drop-offs, cleaning and pressing drop-offs, and we will not be buying any collections this week. So don't bring any of that. Till later on in next week. We're gone. Manga Meetup is happening at 6 p.m. on Wednesday with Katie and our awesome friend Abisara. So come by the store and get some awesome comics. We won't have a Wind Down Your Weekend next Sunday night, but we will be back the week after that with 2 weeks of great comics. So get ready for that. We will see you then. Katie will see you at the shop. And until then, happy reading, everybody. Bye.